What's up, brothers? Hope everyone's doing well out there. You are now tuned in to the smooth sounds of LFA on a nice, rather warm October evening just before sundown. And I had one thing planned, and one thing only, and that is to come out here and shoot the shit with you guys. And what I wanted to talk about in today's video is typically the two things that women look for in a man, and also why women often choose the wrong guy. They choose Mr. Wrong instead of Mr. Right. I think this is a topic that is pretty relevant in modern culture. You know, there's a lot of guys out there that are frustrated with this concept, and they've seen it happen many times. You know, they see a lot of women, especially in their young prime, getting with the wrong guys, you know, getting with the dogs and getting treated like shit. And then eventually they want to come around and date the nice guys, right? So a lot of guys are frustrated with this. Anyways, first of all, let's come up with a clear definition of what Mr. Right is and what Mr. Wrong is. And I would say that Mr. Right is a man with good intentions. This is a man that wants to settle down. You know, he wants to stay with her for the long haul, maybe get married and have kids. He cares a lot about her. You know, he wants a good relationship. He wants to be there for her. That's Mr. Right. Mr. Wrong is a man that wants to use her. Maybe wants to abuse her. You know, maybe use her for sex, maybe use her for money. Maybe he's just got out of jail and he wants to use her for a car and a place to stay. You know, I've seen all kinds of Mr. Wrongs out there. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. I mean, it happens. So Mr. Right is a man with good intentions, and Mr. Wrong is a man with bad intentions. Why is it women often go with Mr. Wrong? Well, again, as I was saying, there's two things that women look for in a man. And these two things are, number one, sex appeal. I know that pisses a lot of people off because you say, well, what if you don't have sex appeal? We'll get to that later. But number one is sex appeal. We're all human beings. You want to be with somebody that you're sexually attracted to. You know, you don't want to be in a relationship with somebody you're not sexually attracted to. It's just, we're human beings. That's the way we are. So that's the first thing that they look for. Even when they say they don't, they do. We all do. And number two is they're looking for a man with good intentions. So they're looking for that good guy, but a good guy with high sex appeal. So if you're a handsome guy out there and you have swagger and you're a smooth talker and you're good at flirting, you're charismatic, we could say, and you have good intentions, like you legitimately want to treat a woman right, you know, settle down and have a solid relationship, the woman you get with is going to be in heaven. Okay, she's going to love her life. She's going to be so happy she met you. You've got it made. But here's where things get a little bit twisted, right? This goes for both men and women. So a lot of guys out there, they act like this is only a woman thing, like women choose the wrong guys. But men are notorious for choosing the wrong women too. You can't overlook that. It's just true. And the reason why is because we all have a blind spot. And this is game right here. Game isn't being so strong that you don't have a blind spot. Game is understanding that we all have this blind spot. It exists for all of us. When you find somebody sexually attractive, you have a little bit of a blind spot. You know, if a really hot woman walks up to you at a bar, and you know, she's smiling at you and flirting with you, it's very difficult for you to not take her up on what offer she has for you, right? Like, and you don't know if she has an STD, you don't know if she's setting you up to rob you or something. You're just out in the city, right? And a hot woman is trying to talk to you, so you have this blind spot. Now you should have the self-control to say, you know what, maybe I'm making a bad decision here, but that's neither here nor there. So women have that blind spot too. A lot of times, Mr. Wrong will have high sex appeal. And so they'll be talking to a man and he has high sex appeal. And generally, you know, she sees him as somebody that she's aroused by, we could say. But Mr. Wrong is a user, right? He's an abuser. He's a liar. He's a cheater. So of course, what he's going to do is he's going to present the image of being Mr. Right, right? He's going to talk to her like, you know, like he really has big things planned for her. He's going to sell her a dream, right? And she's going to sleep with him, and then he's going to leave her, pump her and dump her. And a lot of times, he'll get her pregnant and leave her with a baby, right? So guys like to turn this around on women, and sure, we all pick who we sleep with, but most of the time, that's how single mothers happen. They get with a guy that they're attracted to, and they think that he's, you know, really going to be a good man and a good husband, and he just smashes her a few times and leaves her with a baby. Now, I'm not saying, you know, things don't occur, like you have predatory women out there who seek out men who have money and they take them to the cleaners. That does happen, but typically with your average Joes, your regular people out there, that's not the way it's happening. Usually you have a guy in there that's, you know, like a PUA type, pumping her and dumping her and leaving her. Anyways, so obviously what happens, you know, as they go through life, they get a little more experience and they start to, you know, set up shit tests and whatnot and try to build up walls so Mr. Wrong can't get in anymore, and then they start settling for Mr. Right. And sometimes those walls cause them to get with less attractive men, by the way, which is, you know, something we see, but I don't think people really explain why it's happening. And if you're a guy out there and you're thinking, well, I'm Mr. Right, and I do want a good relationship, I do want to treat a woman well, I do want whatever, I want like just a solid relationship, and you're not able to get it, usually I'd say 90% of the time, your problem has to do with sex appeal. Now, you're probably wondering, how do you turn that sex appeal up? Like, what can you do? And it probably leads you down pathways like black pill, nihilistic, defeatist mindset type stuff. And there's some truth to all that. Like, looks do matter for sure. Like, we're not going to deny that. That's definitely something that is true. But the thing about this is, you know, we are who we are. The way you look, your height, your genetics, it is what it is. And there's nothing that I can do to help you with that or change that. So I'm not even going to get into that. I mean, the obvious things to do, which you already know, are work out, eat healthy, have good hygiene. But what I do, when I try to think of like, why is it that almost every time I like a woman, she likes me back? Like, why does this happen? Like, and I'm telling you, like, I can go through my day, my month, my week, my year, and see thousands of women, right? And there's just one out of 1,000 that I really like, that I'm really into. And she always seems to like me back. It's been like that. It's always been like that for me. And what is it? Like, what do I do And this is the opposite advice from what you typically hear from like Red Pill or Manosphere. You know, they tell you to act like you don't like her. You know, basically act like you're better than her, right? Display higher sexual market value than her. I do the opposite of that. When I want someone, like, I will look at her like I want her. That's the only thing I can think of that I do differently. You know, like, it could be the cute girl at the gym, and I'm like looking at her between sets. You know, cute girl in the office, I'm like checking her out in the hallway. And not in a creepy way. Don't be a creep about it, but it's more eye contact, like looking at her in the eyes like you're attracted to her. It could be in a relationship that's 5 years in, and I walk in the door and I'm just staring her dead in the eye, and she's like stumbling around like, oh my God, why are you looking at me? You know, and then she just magically comes to me and we start to get it on. But eye contact is just one thing. Women like to be looked at a certain way. Like, it's like a confident look, but it's a look like you want her. The best way that I can describe it is like, you remember how Clint Eastwood used to, like, he'd pull a revolver out and he'd be like looking at somebody, and it's weird because it's like this dude's about to smoke somebody, but he's looking at him like he wants to fuck you or something. It's kind of weird, you know, but that's how you look at women, you know. That's how I look at women, I should say, when I want them. And for some reason, that look gets them excited. I don't know why, but when you look at them a certain way, it gets them excited. Now, of course, there's things you could say, ways that you could talk to her. You know, talking and communicating is definitely a very effective way of showing sex appeal. Speaking directly and in a way that is unfearful, fearless, I should say, unapologetic, and confident, but still righteous, like almost like what you're saying is something you stand behind and that you truly believe in, so you're not embarrassed to say it. But, you know, always speak directly and say your piece, say what you mean. You know, I think that would be a way of having sex appeal. So whatever it is you want to say it. And if it sounds weird, double down on it. Because, you know, something that women are attracted to is a man that, like, can trip and get back up, right? He's somebody that when he screws up, he falls gracefully. You know, he's confident with himself. You know, that's something that I would say. Other than that, it's physical, it's the way you look. You know, it's your body and your physique. Other than that, I don't think there's much about sex appeal that you can change. But I think really the strongest and most overlooked type of sex appeal is eye contact. Not staring at her tits, not staring at her ass, not being a pervert, not being a creep, but looking at a woman in her eyes. And she's looking at you back, and you're looking at her like you want her. And she's getting butterflies and she's getting turned on. I think that's the most powerful form of sex appeal. But, you know, I guess that's up for debate. Notice in this video we haven't mentioned money, we haven't mentioned status, we haven't mentioned hypergamy. Typically, if you're using money, status, hypergamy, and pre-selection as your dating strategy, meaning you want to display high value, you want to look rich, put yourself above her, you want to look like other women want you and all this shit, typically what you're going to attract is women that are going to use you for that, because that's the bait that you're using. And that's what sets you up for the women that are going to use you and abuse you, right? Because you can find Mrs. Right and Mrs. Wrong. And if you're using money and status to get a woman, it's very likely that you're going to attract Mr. Wrong. Mrs. Wrong, whatever. As Mr. Wrong for some of you guys. I don't judge. Mrs. Wrong for me. Anyways, no, yeah. You always got to ask yourself this one question. I'll leave you with this before we shut this off. Anytime you're dealing with a woman, anytime you're in a relationship, you're dating, you always want to take a step back and make this statement to yourself. Look yourself in the mirror, say it to yourself when you're driving, whatever. Say, she really cares about me a lot. She really likes me a lot. And then answer that statement with a true or false. True or false? She really cares about me a lot. True or false? If it's true, you'll know it's true right off the bat. When you go out of town for 3 days, she's sad that you're leaving. You know, she wants to call you and text you anytime she can, and she's excited when you get back. She can't wait to see you again. You know when a woman cares about you a lot. And if you have to question it, you know, if you're in one of those situations where, like, you're saying things like, well, I left town for a week and I came back and the vibe was off. I don't know what happened. We went out and the sex was great, the date was great, the night was great, everything was great about it. But when I came back, why is it going out of focus when I take, all right, there we go. But when I got back, the vibe was off. I don't know what to do. Well, again, ask yourself this question. Or make this statement. She really cares about me a lot. True or false? Well, you know, if the vibe is off, what do you think? Sounds to me like she doesn't really like you a lot. If you have to question it, the answer is false. You know, you're more safe saying false. And ending the relationship right then and there. And if she asks you what's going on, why'd you end it? Why did you want space? Why'd you want it out? It just didn't seem like you cared too much about me. Okay, well, maybe it was a misunderstanding, and when you get back together, she'll show you that she cares. But typically when a woman cares about you, you'll know it. And for a woman, if a man cares about her, she'll know it too. It's just the way it is. It's easy to tell. But yeah, you know, it's odd. The manosphere will push a lot of ideas nowadays, like you know, if you tell a woman you like her, you make her feel like you like her, then she leaves. For me, it's the exact opposite. Now, I'm not saying one is true and one is false, whatever. I'm just saying, for me personally, it's the opposite. When I express interest in a woman, her attraction to me always goes up. Always. And that's because I don't know, it's like she's got her group of women, and she's the one that I'm choosing, she's the one that I'm attracted to, and it works. I don't know, it's strange. I'm not saying every woman in the world wants me. I'm saying I get the one that I want. Even she doesn't have to be like the best looking in the group. It's the one I want. That's the best one to me. And it usually works out. But, you know, suppose that's my experience and my advice and what I have to say about that. And it's starting to get a bit dark. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to shut this one off. Now let me tell you, it was nice shooting the shit with you guys. And I hope this video was somewhat informative. But that's about it for tonight, guys. Until next time, see ya.